Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. In today's video, I am going to talk about the last season that just came out of Cobra Kai. Season 5 came out just a week or so ago. So I'll just go a little bit through. This is going to be a spoiler review, basically, of the last season. And go over just what my overall thoughts and what I thought they did well and what I criticized on them and what the future of the show is anyway. So stay tuned to see what my thoughts are here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about Cobra Kai Season 5, one of my favorite shows. I mean, in my opinion, one of the best shows currently on streaming. I always want to say the best show on TV, but today I don't really watch TV. I watch streaming, which I don't know if that's considered TV. But Cobra Kai, now we're in the 5th season, dropped on September 9th. It took me about 2 days to watch it all. I usually watch quite a bit in a row when it comes to a show like Cobra Kai. Because of Netflix, you can kind of just binge watch the shows, which I guess is kind of nice. I mean, it takes away that, anticipation each week, but still, it's nice after I watch one episode, I'm like, I gotta watch the next one. I'm so into the show. Anyway, so I go through them pretty quickly. It's a pretty easy show to go through, I think, binge watch and go through pretty quickly. But yeah, I've been a big fan of Cobra Kai all the last 4 seasons and this last season. Big fan of Karate Kid, the original movie, and fan of the series as a total, and love what they're doing with the characters now in Cobra Kai. So I want to go over what the good, and I said this is going to be a spoiler review. I'm afraid I'm going to spoil things because I thought about like, oh, should I do a non-spoiler review and then spoiler review? But then I'm like, what's my non-spoiler review? It's the show is good. That's my non-spoiler review. It's hard to talk too much about it without really going into details about what is good about it and why I like it so much. So I'm going to go through the good. I'm going to go through some criticism, some of the criticisms I have of the season. Though the criticism isn't bad, real bad. It doesn't really ruin the show or anything. It's just little nitpicks I have of the show maybe. But yeah, definitely mostly it's going to be a good review of Cobra Kai Season 5. I thought it was a really, overall, like I said, really good season. One of the strong seasons that they've had. I almost would say it might have been my favorite season so far. It's kind of hard to say until the whole show's over, I think. And then I watch all of them in a row. And then I maybe better to process what the best season was or what seasons I liked more. I mean, I like what they're doing with all the characters, of course, growing them, changing, how they've gone from the first season to this season. So each season has its own good things about it, how the characters are growing, I think. And I love how they're doing that. And I don't know, overall, it's just they do such a great job telling stories. It's also a very funny show. There's a lot of really funny moments in it. Especially with Johnny Lawrence, played by William Zabka, has always been my favorite character, and I love what they're doing with him. I love how he's kind of old school, and so he doesn't get modern stuff, or he doesn't. He calls get on the internet. He calls it interneting. So he makes up these words because he doesn't understand like technology, current technology, and all that. And so there's a lot of comedy with that. There's a sequence, an episode where he becomes an Uber driver to make money, and he becomes the worst Uber driver like ever. And it's a little over top sometimes, but it's very comical, that kind of stuff. And a lot of his methods are very politically incorrect, which I kind of love about it. The character is that he doesn't understand political correctness because he grew up in an era where there was no political correctness. And so you said things that you can't say in today. He doesn't understand why, and he doesn't change with the times kind of thing, which happens. Which is funny for Johnny because Johnny was like the cool high schooler back in the 80s, in the original Karate Kid, He's definitely, more up to date on modern things and what is cool and how to dress and fashion, all this stuff. But now that he's in his 50s, of course, he's not cool anymore as much as he'd like to think he is, I think. And so he's really out of date with everything. Anyway, so I would love all that. And yeah, they just tell great stories of these characters, and Each episode ends with, sometimes a cliffhanger, ends with an ending that makes you want to watch the next episode because you want to see, oh, what's going to happen in the next episode. So they do a great job of ending each episode, making you want to watch the next one and kind of cliffhanger you. So you're like, oh, I want to see the next one. And they do so much better job than any show I've seen today. I mean, when I think of Lord of the Rings or House of the Dragon, uh, this show blows all the shows out of the water. I mean, I feel like every showrunner should watch this show. This show and Mandalorian, I think, are the two best shows in streaming. And it's like, watch those two shows and try to figure out how to make that for your show, because so many shows are just so boring and uneventful, I feel like, and just pace is all wrong. The characters aren't uninteresting. And it's like, man, this is how you make a show. Interesting characters, great pace. You go through it so quickly and so entertaining. I wish more shows could implement this, but I don't know. They just have a really good showrunners on the show, and that really works. Also, the fight choreography is really good. That's the other thing that really makes it stand out. It's this mixture of, like, I've heard people say, "Oh, I never seen Karate Kid. Can I watch the show?" And it's like, well, I think to get the best entertainment out of it, watching the Karate Kid movies, mainly the first three, definitely enhances how great the show is, because a lot of nostalgia in it. A lot of characters from the show show up from those movies show up in the TV show, and it's so great when you see those characters show up and go, oh my gosh, it's so and so. That definitely makes it more exciting for someone like me. But other than that, I think it's still a very entertaining show, like I said, because definitely got the drama in there. You got got a lot of comedy, though. The comedy is really good. I think that'd work even if you don't know Karate Kid. And also the fight choreography is very good. So any of the fight scenes they do are really well done and are top notch, I think. And I think that really helps it become one of the best shows, in my opinion. A couple of things. Those are just some general good things about the show. Specifically for this season, I have to say one of the best things about it, I said the same thing with the last season. Terry Silver is a great villain. I think even better than Kreese. Kreese was a good villain as well, but I think I like Terry Silver even better. So I like the fact that Terry Silver has taken over Cobra Kai, and I don't know, he's just got this he's really good at just having this really evil look about him. The actor Thomas Ian Griffith, who played him in Karate Kid 3, and now he's come back for this show. And I don't know what it is. He just has a natural ability to look like a jerk and look kind of, even when he's smiling, it's just something's not right, So I love his performance in the whole season. Very happy to have him back, and that character is so great. He's a great character to hate, and great character for your main characters to fight against. And very good, because he's very tall. I don't know, he's like 6'6" or something like that. And even he's in his 60s, he still has a great kick, and he looks good in fight scenes. So it works very well. I would also say the character Chosen, coming in. We knew he was coming because he came at the very end of season 4, so we knew that he was going to be a major character in the season. And Chosen was a great addition. I love Chosen throughout the episode, or throughout the show. A very different character than he was in Karate Kid 2. He was a huge jerk and very charismatic, and had this evil laugh about him, and very dangerous, very scary kind of villain actually in Karate Kid 2. And interesting seeing him now as an older man in his 60s, and he's very more wise. He's kind of almost this older, wiser individual who's more quiet. And but I love how loyal he is. He's so loyal to Daniel, who was his enemy in Karate Kid 2. But in this one, man, he's really really good asset, great ally to have. I mean, not only is he a good fighter, even in his 60s, of course, as the show shows. I don't know how good you are in your 60s in real life, but it's a TV show, so we kind of pretend like these guys in their 60s are still very good. Who knows? I don't know. But anyway, so Chosen, really good fighter, of course, excellent in that. But just, yeah, very loyal, and he goes above and beyond to protect Daniel and his family, which is actually pretty incredible. And he's very, honorable character, which he was a very dishonorable character in the second one. So I love what they did with the character and the whole kind of redemption of that character. I never thought you would see Chosen be a redemptive character, and he always seemed like he was going to be one of the worst bad guys in the Karate Kid franchise, I would say. I mean, he basically physically abuses Kimiko in the second movie, and also tries to kill Daniel several times and Miyagi, and ruins their Miyagi's place that he's living at, his dojo. I mean, very, very bad stuff that he does in the second movie. So I love what they did with Chosen, and he's been great throughout the whole series. Great combination. Him and Johnny are almost like opposites the way they act. Like I said, Johnny's much more I don't know what to say, outgoing, much more verbal. Chosen's definitely, he always talks in these very, wise sayings kind of things. And while Johnny is just more blunt and to the point. And so those two are really great together. One of my favorite scenes is when those two are talking for the first time. And they're like, oh yeah, I knew Daniel back when, he was in high school. And Johnny's like, yeah, I really hated him or something like that. And Chosen goes, yeah, he was a real pain in the ass. And so it's funny, the two villains from 1 and 2 are kind of talking about, yeah, we really hated Daniel back then. They both are friends now, but it's like, yeah, there was something about him. He was, immature kid, that really, got in our ways and all that. So yeah. Also love seeing Mike Barnes coming back for a small role. There's every season there's always talk of is Mike Barnes coming back. He was a great kind of semi-villain of season 3, along with Terry Silver and Kreese. He was the bad boy of karate who fights Daniel at the end. Anyway, so there's always been talk of he was one of the major characters that I think everybody wants to see come back. So, and from what I've seen, no one's spoiled that before the show, so I didn't know if he was coming back for the season. There was always rumors of like, oh, Mike Barnes has to come back, the character. So I didn't know if he's going to be in the season, but because I think I've seen interviews with the actor playing Mike Barnes, and he did a good job of saying, oh, maybe, maybe not. So I didn't hear any for sure that he was going to be in the season. So I love seeing him come in. And again, another character who's a really terrible character in the third movie, coming back and being actually a normal kind of good guy. And so I love seeing him. I almost wish there was more of him. I could have done more with him in the season. He's only really in like 2 episodes, I want to say, and kind of small, but still, it was really fun seeing him come back. Also, Jessica from Karate Kid 3 comes in, who was Daniel's girlfriend in the Karate Kid 3. That actress comes back and makes an appearance in 1 episode, which again, I one of the things I love about the show is I love when characters come back from the movies, because of course you remember them in the movies as being young, and so now you're seeing them 40 years later or whatever, 30 years later, 40 years later or something. I mean, so they're all in their 50s, 60s, so it's kind of interesting seeing them as teenagers or in their 20s to 50s, 60s, and seeing how much they've changed. But I love the fact that they got them to come back to replay their roles. And didn't have to get like another actor or actress to recast for the role. So I really like that continuity of the canon of Karate Kid. And we get a kind of really cool reveal that Jessica is like a cousin, I believe, to Amanda, is it? Daniel's wife. And so now we kind of get this idea of like, oh, he dated Jessica, they broke up, and he must have met his wife through her because they were cousins. So that was a cool reveal, I think. Like I said, one of my favorite parts of the movie is see Daniel with 3 major villains from the movies. Like there's a scene where it's like him and Johnny and Chosen, and then Mike Barnes comes in, and they're almost getting a fight, and they're having this conversation. I'm thinking, wow, this is so cool to see. I never thought I'd see Daniel with these 3, guys that tried to kill him earlier in his life, and they're all kind of working together. So I really enjoyed that scene. I really like the Chosen egg breaking lesson scene, I call it, where he kind of joins Miyagi-Do and trying to training as a sensei and trying to train the kids. And so he has this thing where like, I'm going to go try to break your egg. He gives them all eggs and says, try to figure out how to, stop me from breaking your egg. And they kind of figure out if they work together that they can stop him. And that was great because you got all the kid actors together, which I really enjoyed. Because we get Robbie joining Miyagi-Do basically. So then now you got Robbie, Hawk, Miguel, Sam and Dimitri all together, and that's like your strongest fighters all together. So I really enjoyed seeing them kind of go at it with Chosen. I think the fight scenes were great. I love Miguel and Robbie's fight scene. That was maybe I want to say that was maybe my favorite fight scene in the whole show. They get to a scene where like they have to fight it out because they don't like each other, and Johnny's trying to get them to get along. So he says, "Okay, you can't get along, just fight it out, get it all out." And yeah, very well done scene between Robbie and Miguel. Those two actors did a really good job. Great choreographed scene, and then it has a really good ending to it where they kind of confess how, you know, they don't want to fight anymore, and they're sorry about what happened in the past. So that was great. Also, the Daniel Silver fight at the very end was very well. I loved how the whole show does a great job of cutting back, doing flashbacks to the movies and editing them into the show. I love when they do that. When you see him fighting Silver, and then you flash back to them in the third, movie, and him training him about if he can't breathe, he can't fight. If he can't, all this stuff. I thought that was really well done. I like Stingray actually coming in, and there's a great scene where he's confessing that he lied to the police, but he uses it without actually telling them what he did, what happened. But he kind of did this role playing with these Dungeons and Dragon characters, and I thought a great performance by Paul Hauser, who I think is a really good actor. He's a comedic actor, but I really like him. I thought he did a really good job with that whole scene. And overall, it's a really good conclusion to the season. We kind of get this almost idea that Cobra Kai is almost dead. I mean, it can't be dead because the show's called Cobra Kai, but Terry Silver gets arrested at the end, and so we're like, okay. And all the Cobra Kai people seem to quit, so it's like, okay, Cobra Kai almost doesn't exist anymore without, no Kreese, no Silver, and all the kids are quitting, it seems like. So I thought that was good. It was nice to have a conclusion to the story and to the Terry Silver. He could come back next season, who knows, so we'll see. And Johnny, I just love the fact that we're seeing him really mature. He's in his 50s, but the character is so much maturing, though. I mean, he's getting his son, and like Miguel's like almost like another son. I mean, he's really loves both, and he's kind of getting them together. Also, he's gotten Carmen pregnant, and he's kind of excited for the baby, and he wants to be a good father. And he really doesn't fight with anybody. Usually he's always fighting with Daniel. It's like the first season where him and Daniel are getting along. So I kind of like that we kind of see Johnny kind of not be this big jerk as he's been, even though I do love Johnny throughout the seasons. It's kind of nice that you see him kind of become this guy that's uniting and not fighting anymore. So yeah, so overall, great. That's all good. I'm about done with the video actually, and I only got through the good part. So I might have to do another one to talk a little bit more about the show. So this will probably be part 1 of Cobra Kai season 5. So thank you for watching. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. Appreciate all of you, and have a